What if I told you that the most dangerous person in the world is not someone who hates you, but someone who looks at you and smiles? Hollow Creek, Oregon. Population 1,847, a small town. Everyone knows each other. Everyone trusts each other. But in 2019, this quiet little town witnessed something that still keeps its residents awake at night. And the man at the center of this story, you could call him a survivor, or you could call him the luckiest victim alive, was a 28-year-old guy named Daniel Mercer. Daniel saw something he was never supposed to see, and by the time he understood what was happening, it was almost too late. Daniel Mercer was a freelance photographer based out of Portland, Oregon. He was good at his job, really good. But city life had started to wear him down. The noise, the crowds, the constant pressure of deadlines, it was all getting to him. So when a friend suggested he take a break somewhere small and quiet, Daniel didn't think twice. Go to Hollow Creek, his friend told him. It's peaceful. Good light for photography, and the people are decent. Daniel packed his camera bag, filled up his old black Jeep, and drove into Hollow Creek on the first weekend of October. He rented a small cabin on the edge of town, Pinewood Cabin Number 4, tucked between tall Douglas firs, about a mile from the main road. The first night was perfect. Cold air, total silence. Somewhere in the darkness, an owl called out from the trees. Daniel lay in bed and thought, this is exactly what I needed. He had no idea what was already watching him. The next morning, Daniel stepped outside to get some air and take a few shots of the fog rolling through the trees. That's when he saw it. On the windshield of his Jeep, a photograph, black and white, printed on glossy paper. He picked it up and felt the blood drain from his face. It was a photo of him, taken through the cabin window while he was sleeping. Daniel spun around. He scanned the tree line in every direction. Nothing moved. No sound. No footsteps. Just the trees standing there, tall and silent, like they were keeping a secret. Someone had been outside his cabin in the middle of the night. Someone with a camera, and they had left him proof. Daniel drove straight into town. His hands were shaking the entire way. Hollow Creek's police station was a small brick building on Main Street. Inside, he found Sheriff Roy Callahan, a heavy-set man in his mid-50s with slow eyes and slower speech. Daniel slid the photograph across the desk. The sheriff looked at it for a long moment. Then he leaned back in his chair. This kind of thing happens sometimes, he said. Tourists come through, somebody messes with them, they leave. Nothing serious, Sheriff, Daniel said. Someone photographed me while I was sleeping inside a locked cabin. Was the door locked? Yes. The windows. Daniel paused. I'm not sure. The sheriff slid the photo back across the desk. Probably just some local kid playing a prank. I'll look into it. But something in his voice told Daniel he had no intention of doing that. Daniel left the station and walked down the street to Man's Diner, a small, worn-in place that smelled like coffee and old wood. He sat at the counter and ordered breakfast. His waitress was a woman named Liza Huang, 30 years old, friendly face, quick smile, the kind of person who remembers your order before you finish saying it. Daniel mentioned the photograph casually, watching her reaction. Her face changed, just for a second. But he saw it. You were staying in Pinewood Cabin 4? She asked quietly. You've. Wait, Liza glanced toward the door. Then she leaned in close. In the last 3 years, she said, almost in a whisper, 4 different people have rented that cabin. 2 of them never checked out. Police said they just left on their own. But Daniel, nobody leaves without their luggage. The coffee cup in Daniel's hand felt very heavy suddenly. Why are you telling me this? He asked. Because you were from outside, she said. And people from outside, nobody here looks out for them. Daniel drove back to the cabin. He told himself he would pack everything that evening and leave first thing in the morning. He didn't want to drive the dark, winding road out of Hollow Creek at night. That was his first mistake. By 11 o'clock, he had calmed down slightly. He was sitting at the small wooden table, editing photos on his laptop when he heard it. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Footsteps in the leaves outside. Daniel went completely still. He didn't move. He didn't turn off any lights because something told him that if the lights went out, whoever was outside would think he was asleep. The footsteps moved slowly around the perimeter of the cabin, one full circle, then another, then silence. Daniel sat frozen for 5 full minutes. Then a knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the front door. Daniel grabbed his phone and dialed the sheriff's number. No signal, of course. He was a mile from town, surrounded by trees. There was no cell service out here. Knock, 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 and then a voice. Calm, warm, friendly, terrifyingly friendly. Daniel, I know you are in there. I'm your neighbor from down the road. There's a fire at my place. Please open the door. I need help. Daniel crept to the window and looked out through the gap in the curtains. It was dark, but in the dim light filtering out from the cabin, he could see a figure standing near the tree line, just standing there, and smiling, not panicking, not waving, not pointing at any fire, just smiling. Daniel stepped back from the window. He did not open the door. He sat in the corner of the cabin with a kitchen knife in his hand until the sun came up. The moment there was enough light to see by, Daniel grabbed his bag and ran to his Jeep. He stopped dead when he got there. All 4 tires had been slashed. Clean cuts. Deliberate. Quiet enough that he hadn't heard a thing from inside the cabin. His phone still had no signal. Daniel made a decision. He would walk to town. 20 minutes through the woods on the trail he had done it the first day, and remembered the path well enough. He set off at a fast pace, eyes forward, bag over his shoulder. 10 minutes in he felt it. That feeling, the one that every human being carries in their DNA, from 100,000 years of being prey. Someone was behind him. He stopped walking. The sound behind him stopped. He started again. The sound started again. Daniel's breathing went shallow. He scanned the trees on both sides of the trail, and then he saw something ahead of him, hanging from a low branch. He almost walked past it, but something made him stop. He reached up and pulled it down. It was a photograph. This one showed Daniel standing at the cabin window the night before, looking out through the curtain gap, and in the foreground of the image, clearly visible near the cabin door, was the man who had knocked, smiling. But Daniel hadn't taken this photo, and the smiling man at the door hadn't taken it either. He had been in the frame, which meant there was a third person. Someone in the trees with a camera, 2 of them. Daniel dropped the photo and ran. He burst out of the tree line and onto the main road. He was braking so hard, he could barely stand. The first car that came by didn't stop. The second one did. The driver was a man in his early 40s. Ordinary face. Plain jacket. He looked at Daniel with calm, concerned eyes. "Way, are you all right? What happened to you?" "Please," Daniel said. "I need to get to the police station. Someone is following me in the woods." "Get in," the man said. "I'll take you." Daniel got in the passenger seat. The car pulled onto the road. Daniel watched out the window, trying to slow his heartbeat. He noticed the trees thinning, which meant they were getting closer to town. But then he noticed the car was not heading toward town. It was heading away from it. "Hey," Daniel said carefully. "The station is back that way." The man didn't answer. "Way, sir, you were going the wrong way." The man turned and looked at Daniel, and smiled. That smile. The same smile from outside the cabin door. The same eyes. Daniel grabbed the door handle and yanked. Locked. The car accelerated. What happened next is documented in the Hollow Creek Police Department incident report dated October 9, 2019. A truck driver named Paul Ostrowski was heading north on Route 18 when he saw a black sedan swerving aggressively. Through his windshield, he could see the passenger door rattling violently, someone inside trying to force it open. Paul pulled his rig across both lanes and blocked the road. The sedan stopped. The driver's door opened. A man got out and ran into the trees. Daniel Mercer crawled out of the passenger side and collapsed on the asphalt. He was taken to a hospital in Salem. No serious physical injuries, but he could not stop shaking for several hours. When investigators went to Pinewood Cabin Number 4 the following morning, they found something beneath the floorboards in the back room, a trapdoor leading to an underground space roughly the size of a large closet. Inside that space, pinned to the walls and stacked in boxes, were over 1,200 photographs, different people, different ages, taken over what investigators estimated was a period of at least 6 years. All of them were tourists who had passed through Hollow Creek. Many of them were never reported missing. Alongside the photographs was a handwritten journal. The entries were brief. Each one listed a name, a date, and a cabin number. Every entry ended with the same 4 words: gone. Nobody will ask. The man identified as the driver, Gerald Howell, 44, a Longtom Hollow Creek resident, was never found. His accomplice in the woods was never identified. The case remains open. Hollow Creek, Oregon still exists. It's still small, still quiet. The diner is still open. The cabins still rent out to travelers passing through. And the people there are perfectly friendly. They'll smile at you when you walk in. They'll smile at you when you sit down. They'll smile at you when you ask for directions. Just one piece of advice: if you ever find yourself alone in a small town you don't know, and a stranger knocks on your door in the middle of the night, don't open it. And whatever you do, don't get in the car.